Hello, today's story happened on a hot noon, September 9th, 2005, at the Y subway station. The clock struck 12:45 p.m. People were still rushing by the exit. A blue and white sports bag lay quietly, catching the attention of a cleaning worker named Mr. Thao. It had been nearly 10 minutes with no one claiming it, so curiosity got the better of him. He decided to open the bag to see what was inside, maybe to find a clue about its owner. But to his horror, when he shakily unzipped it, what he saw was not clothes or personal items. It was the pale face of a young woman. The terrifying scene made the cleaning worker panic and vomit right there on the spot. At 1:53 p.m., the police arrived at the scene. They sealed off the area cautiously. Opening the bag, besides that haunting face, they found two large black plastic bags, several small red polyethylene bags, and some old newspapers from state times. More horrifyingly, inside those black bags were body parts, arms, legs, and so on, but the torso was missing. This case happened just 3 months after the shocking murder of a young girl named Huang Na. If you haven't watched that case, you can check it out on my channel. All of this put immense pressure on the Singapore police. Based on fingerprints found on the victim's right arm, police quickly identified her as a Filipina domestic worker named Zen Pengan Napwa. We'll call her Zen for short. Records showed she worked for a Singaporean family. Police contacted the family, who confirmed Zen had been missing since September 9th. They had also reported her disappearance and filed a missing person report the day before. At that time, about 140,000 foreign domestic workers were in Singapore, a huge number that made the investigation even more challenging. Most of these helpers came from the Philippines and Indonesia. That afternoon, police collected all surveillance footage around the subway station. Meanwhile, 50 officers split into 3 teams to investigate. By 6:10 p.m., another call came in. A black-wheeled suitcase full of flies was found near Majiwater Lake, lying on the grass by the roadside, just a few meters from the main road and only about 5 kilometers from the subway station where the sports bag was found earlier that morning. A man said this was a road he took to work daily and was very familiar with. He confirmed he hadn't seen the suitcase there this morning. Police rushed to the scene. Their instincts told them something was off. This suitcase looked very much like the blue sports bag found earlier, both large and found in public places. They hurriedly unlocked the suitcase, and as expected, inside was a large black plastic bag containing a woman's torso. The body was wrapped loosely in old newspapers. Those newspapers were also familiar. State Times issues from September 5th to 8th. However, this time an important clue appeared inside the suitcase. A newspaper called the International SL Hero Tribune. On it was the name and address of the subscriber. Without hesitation, the police got a search warrant and went to the address listed on the paper, an 8th-floor apartment in a building owned by an Indian couple. The couple said they didn't know the victim, only that they had hired a Filipina domestic worker named Gang. Perhaps she knew the victim. Gang Galeo Aguila, born October 19, 1976, from Tagan, Ilocos Norte, Philippines, was married with 2 sons, but in late 2001, she decided to leave her family and work in Singapore. Though the salary was low, it was enough to support her family back home. When questioned, Gang avoided eye contact, clearly stressed. She repeatedly claimed she only knew Zen and didn't know where she was. Without delay, police got a search warrant and searched her place. The shocking case that shocked the nation was solved at 12:40 a.m. on September 10, 2005. Gang was arrested on suspicion of murder. Police found blood stains on Gang's mattress and floor. A suitcase belonging to Gang was stained with blood, just the right size to fit a person. Under the kitchen sink, police found a red plastic bag like those used to contain Zen's body. Also found were an 18-centimeter meat cleaver and an axe. The homeowners said these items weren't theirs and they had never seen them before. Inside the black plastic bags, police found Zen's torn ID card and the luggage tags of the black-wheeled suitcase. Despite clear evidence, Gang kept denying guilt. She admitted Zen came to see her on September 7th, but said Zen left afterward and she didn't know where Zen went. At 10:33 a.m., medical checkup results on Gang were released. She had scratches on her neck, back, right shoulder, left leg, both forearms, left back, and left calf, all bruised. Meanwhile, Zen's head and neck had 2 bruises, a swelling and a tear. Her legs had many bruises of different sizes. Her left elbow had a large wound, and her right arm showed bite marks matching Gang's dental records. Based on these findings, police hypothesized that before being killed, Zen had a fierce fight with Gang, likely at the employer's home where Gang worked. Since the family was often away early and late, they didn't know what happened. Gang hid Zen's body in the suitcase for 2 days. Using the knife and axe, Gang dismembered Zen, carefully cleaned up the blood, but some stains remained. Zen was born in 1979 in Bague, Nueva Vizcaya, Philippines, 3 years younger than Gang. She was married with a son and came to Singapore to earn money, getting a work permit for domestic helpers on September 14, 2001. In March 2005, Zen and Gang were introduced by a mutual friend. They were around the same age with much in common, quickly becoming close friends. Although they didn't work together, they often arranged to rest on the same days to meet up. Even without talking much, these meetings eased their loneliness in a foreign land. Those who knew them said their bond was like sisters. So why did Gang attack Zen? A terrifying coincidence. The birthday of the murderer in the Huang Na case 3 months earlier was the same as Gang's birthday. Huang Na was cut into 7 parts, while Zen was dismembered into 6 parts. The methods were somewhat similar, which made people speculate a connection. People returning to the subway station discussed the horrifying case. Why did the 2 women fight? Why was the victim dismembered, with the head and body found separately? What truly happened? Was it a love triangle? Many speculated that the 2 women fought over a man, with some saying they were often seen with a tall, handsome man near the Uzi subway station. But the truth was not so complicated. On September 13th, Gang finally confessed. The reason for her brutal act was simply that Zen owed her 2,000 Singapore dollars and refused to pay it back. When they first met, the 2 were as close as sisters, sharing everything from marital issues to missing their children. Killing her friend, Gang lost a companion, someone she trusted and shared hopes with, living far from home. There were no secrets between them, only sincerity and trust. Until one day Zen came to Gang, saying her family urgently needed 2,000 Singapore dollars. Without hesitation, Gang gave her $1,000 saved and borrowed another $1,000 to help. But she didn't know that the loan was from a loan shark charging 20% interest per month. When Gang learned of the exorbitant interest, she was terrified. How could Zen possibly repay that with her low wages? She quickly told Zen about the situation and blamed herself for being naive and causing harm. Zen comforted her, promising to pay off the principal in a month. Gang felt somewhat relieved, but a month passed and Zen hadn't repaid a cent. The loan sharks kept calling, and Gang had no choice but to pay the interest herself. She thought Zen might sell her camera to pay, but unexpectedly, Zen changed completely. Seeing Gang could help, Zen seemed unconcerned, acting like the money wasn't her problem. When Gang called to ask for money, Zen either ignored the calls or gave vague answers before hanging up. Gang tried to meet Zen but was always given excuses. Zen was carefree while Gang's situation worsened. She helped her friend wholeheartedly, but ended up burdened with huge debt. Her debts piled up like a snowball rolling downhill. Gang lost appetite and sleep, suffering from Zen's cold attitude and threats from loan sharks. They threatened to take her work permit and report her to her employer, making it impossible for her to stay in Singapore. Living in fear, Gang suffered insomnia, unable to send money home for months. Worried about losing her job and family back home, she grew more anxious and sleepless. Lately, she could only nap during the day to gather strength. Her mental state deteriorated severely. Noticing this, Zen visited her at noon on September 7, 2005. At 12:35 p.m., Zen knocked on the employer's door where Gang worked. As long as money wasn't mentioned, they chatted happily as before. At lunchtime, the employers were out, so the two ate and talked in the kitchen. But soon the conversation turned to that $2,000 debt again. When Gang suggested Zen sell her camera to pay, Zen exploded in anger, blaming Gang for constantly bringing it up. Fortunately, Gang stayed calm and tried to soothe her. Zen's anger gradually faded, but the problem wasn't going away. Debt collectors still haunted Gang like ghosts, making her feel suffocated. Unable to pay again, Gang asked Zen to sell the camera. This time, Zen lost it, yelling at Gang harshly. Gang couldn't hold back anymore, and they fought fiercely, grabbing hair, biting, fighting from kitchen to laundry room to bedroom, blood everywhere. During the struggle, Gang bit Zen's arm and Zen bit back. They both tried to choke each other. Neither intended to kill, just to stop the other. Suddenly, Gang got the upper hand. Her left hand grabbed a pillow. Unexpectedly, she pressed it onto Zen's face, still choking with her right hand. After a while, Zen stopped moving. Gang realized something was wrong, quickly removed the pillow, and cried. She thought she had killed her best friend. But a few seconds later, Zen revived. If Gang had stopped there, things might have been different. But she didn't. Gang pressed the pillow down again, this time longer, until Zen stopped breathing. 2 days later, Gang went to work as usual, planning for September 9th. She went to Mustafa Shopping Center and bought many items. Let's look at what she bought. A kitchen knife, an axe, fabric gloves, rubber gloves, detergent, trash bags, a large flashlight, a bed sheet, a pillow, 2 pillowcases, and even green wallpaper identical to that in the employer's house. At 9:30 a.m., Gang returned to her apartment with the bags. She tore up Zen's work permit, dismembered Zen's body carefully, put parts into trash bags, and cleaned blood stains on the walls, some too stubborn to remove. She covered the stains with the new wallpaper. Finally, Gang flipped the bloodied mattress, changed the bed sheets and pillowcases, and took the sports bag outside. At 12:35 p.m., at the crowded Y subway station, Gang got out of a taxi, dropped the sports bag, and quickly left. At 1:55 p.m., Gang left the apartment again, this time carrying the black wheel suitcase. Her destination was Maji Water Lake. Looking at how Gang discarded the body, loosely wrapped in newspaper, it seems she had no intention of hiding her crime. Gang's defense lawyer, Mr. Safad Endin, tried to explain Gang's mental illness. He specialized in mental health law in the city. In a February 2022 interview, he shared that even after 17 years, he clearly remembered the complex details of the case. He knew defending Gang required objectivity and reason to avoid harming diplomatic ties between two countries. On September 23rd, after a second meeting with Gang, he realized the murder was not premeditated. After a 4-hour discussion, he requested the court reevaluate Gang's mental state. On September 24th, the Philippine Embassy in Singapore sent monks to the area to pray and perform rituals for Zen. The next evening at 8:40 p.m., Zen's body was sent back to the Philippines. Thousands waited at her hometown for a 9-day funeral, following local customs. Officials there called on the president to intervene, worried Gang would face the death penalty, like a 1995 case involving Flor condemnation, which caused diplomatic tension when Flor was sentenced to death for murder. Both countries recalled their ambassadors, and relations only normalized after a year. 15 years later, a similar tragedy happened. The Singapore government paid close attention, officials pledged fair treatment for Gang, and carefully evaluated her mental health. After 4 tests, on October 15, 2005, Doctors concluded Gang suffered from major depressive disorder, typically mild to moderate, but Gang's case was moderate to severe, indicating serious emotional and functional disorders. Doctors noted that when Gang recalled her relationship with Zen, from lending money to the final violent act, she broke down crying. They predicted a low risk of reoffending and expected recovery with treatment in 6 to 12 months. On December 6, the autopsy results were released. No toxins found in Zen's blood. Cause of death was suffocation. Multiple shallow wounds indicated she was beaten before dying. The body decomposed for 1 day. The brutal dismemberment showed uneven cuts, causing controversy. But lawyer Safat insisted Gang dismembered Zen after she died, proving Gang acted during mental illness. Not cold-blooded, but to hide evidence. Gang confessed and cooperated. With no prior convictions, police considered manslaughter, not murder. Before trial, lawyer Safat successfully reduced charges to manslaughter, meaning Gang would avoid the death penalty. On August 18, 2006, the Singapore Supreme Court heard the case. The defense accepted mental health evaluations in low reoffense risk. However, the judge noted Gang missed 2 chances to prevent tragedy and chose an extreme solution. Thus, her actions couldn't be fully excused. Lawyer Safat submitted a letter from Gang's hometown mayor, pledging to help her reintegrate after prison. On May 19th, the judge ruled, though manslaughter can mean life imprisonment, Gang's public disposal of the body suggested serious illness. Her mental state improved during detention, and she received support from her husband. Her risk of reoffending was low. The mayor continued to advocate for her, taking all factors. Gang was sentenced to 15 years in prison. 10 days earlier, the Huang Na killer was sentenced to death. Gang was released in 2015. Many thought 15 years was too light, but others said every case is unique and can't be directly compared. What do you think? Gang and Zen's story makes us reflect on friendship, kindness, money, and how we face life's challenges. No matter how beautiful friendship is, it has limits. Kindness, though priceless, can't buy a debt. Money is necessary, but not everything. When facing difficulties, seek help from loved ones, friends, family, or authorities. Don't let despair lead to tragic mistakes. The biggest lesson from this story is to stay calm and clear-headed in every situation. Violence is never a solution. Learn to communicate, share, listen, and understand. Only then can we build good relationships and avoid tragedies like Gang and Zen's story. That's all for today's video. See you next time. Goodbye.